The spark that lit the fire, the morning sun painted Haven Colony in soft golden hues, its rays dancing through the windows of the St. Catherine's Orphanage. 312 children called this place home, each one a survivor of humanity's expansion into the stars. Some had lost parents to mining accidents in the asteroid belt. Others were orphaned by the harsh realities of frontier life. But here, in this modest collection of buildings on the edge of human space, they found safety, laughter, and hope. Sarah Mitchell, the orphanage director, walked through the courtyard, watching children play. She had run this place for 15 years, turning down multiple promotions to stay with these kids. Her gray hair caught the morning light as she bent down to help a young boy tie his shoes. The sound of children's laughter echoed across the compound, mixing with the distant hum of the colony's shield generators. Nobody expected the attack. Haven Colony sat far from any disputed territory, lacking military value or strategic resources. It was just another human settlement among thousands, notable only for its schools, hospitals, and the orphanage that served children from across 3 star systems. The first plasma bomb hit at 0847 local time. The shield generators, designed for meteor impacts and solar radiation, collapsed instantly under military-grade weapons. The second bomb struck the orphanage directly. In seconds, centuries of human progress in child welfare turned to ash and N. Memory. Captain Marcus Chun arrived 6 hours later with the emergency response fleet. He had seen death before, had walked through battlefields that haunted his dreams, but nothing prepared him for this. The orphanage was gone, replaced by a crater still glowing with residual heat. Emergency crews pulled 17 survivors from the rubble. 17 out of 312. The attackers left their signature clearly visible in the quantum traces of their weapons. The Zirathi Empire. They were known across the galaxy as conquerors, a species that viewed lesser civilizations as resources to be harvested or obstacles to be removed. They had calculated that bombing a soft target would break human morale, demonstrate their superiority, and force humanity to accept subjugation. They calculated wrong. Marcus stood at the edge of the crater, his fists clenched so tight his nails drew blood. Lieutenant Rivera approached with a datapad showing the galactic community's response. The Altarian Council expressed concern. The Vegan Trade Federation called for measured dialogue. The mighty Centauri Republic suggested diplomatic solutions. Not one alien government condemned the attack. Not one offered aid. To them, humanity was young, weak, expendable. The footage from Haven Colony reached Earth in 12 hours. Every human colony, station, and ship received the images simultaneously. Parents held their children tighter. Soldiers stared at their screens in silent rage. Politicians who had preached peace found themselves drowned out by a chorus of fury that transcended all borders, all divisions, all old grudges between human factions. Within 48 hours, something unprecedented happened. Every human government, from the Earth Union to the Mars Congressional Republic to the Outer Colony Alliance, signed the Unity Accords. For the first time in human history, the species spoke with one voice, and that voice said one word: war. But this would not be the kind of war the galaxy expected. Humans had studied their history, learned from their mistakes and victories. They knew they could not match the Zirathi ship for ship, soldier for soldier. The alien empire had conquered 40 systems, commanded fleets of thousands, and possessed technology decades ahead of humanity's. A conventional war meant certain defeat. So humanity chose unconventional war. Admiral Catherine Zhao, appointed Supreme Commander of Human Forces, laid out the strategy in a closed session with military leaders. They expect us to meet them in open battle, where their superior numbers and technology guarantee victory. We will not give them that satisfaction. We will become the nightmare they never imagined. Every human ship is now a weapon. Every human soldier is now a shadow. Every human action will teach them the price of touching our children. The Shadow Fleet was born in shipyards hidden in asteroid fields and nebulae. These were not beautiful vessels of war, but ugly, functional tools of vengeance. Stripped of everything unnecessary, armed with weapons banned by civilized species, crewed by volunteers who knew they might never return home. Each ship painted matte black, running silent, invisible to standard sensors. The first strike came 3 weeks after Haven Colony. Kalos Station, a Zirathi fuel depot, supplied their third fleet with antimatter fuel. It was heavily defended, surrounded by automated weapons platforms and patrol vessels. The Zirathi considered it impregnable. 5 human ships, each no larger, and a cargo hauler slipped through their perimeter. They had spent days drifting, powered down, mimicking space debris. When they reached optimal position, they struck simultaneously. Magnetic mines attached to fuel tanks. Virus programs invaded. Computer systems. Demolition teams, wearing stolen Zirathi armor, planted charges in reactor cores. The station erupted in a chain reaction that could be seen from 3 systems away. 800 Zirathi died instantly. Their third fleet, suddenly without fuel, found themselves stranded in deep space. Human broadcasts played on every frequency. This is for Haven Colony. This is for our children. This is just the beginning. The Zirathi Empire, for the first time in centuries, felt fear. Not because of the destruction. They had suffered losses before, but because of the method. These humans had not announced their attack, had not followed the civilized rules of war that governed galactic conflict. They had struck from shadow. Without warning, without mercy. Commander Vextar, the Zirathi officer who had ordered the Haven Colony bombing, appeared before the Imperial Council. "They are savages," he declared. "They fight without honor, without proper declaration. They violate every treaty of warfare." The eldest council member, her scales dulled with age, responded with a question that chilled the chamber. "Did we show honor when we bombed their younglings?" The human attacks escalated. Supply convoys vanished in hyperspace. Military installations suffered mysterious reactor failures. Zirathi colonies reported contaminated water supplies, computer viruses, and equipment failures. Never enough to destroy them completely, but always enough to create fear, paranoia, and drain resources. The psychological warfare was perhaps the cruelest. Human hackers infiltrated Zirathi communication networks, broadcasting the images from Haven Colony on every screen, every device, every public display. The faces of 300 dead children became inescapable. The sound of human children singing, recorded days before the attack, played in Zirathi homes at random hours. The message was always the same. You started this. We will finish it. Some Zirathi citizens began to question their empire's actions. They had been told humans were weak primitives who needed to be brought to heel. But these humans fought with a fury that transcended logic, a determination that ignored casualties, a creativity in warfare that made every shadow dangerous. Marcus Chun, promoted to lead the Ghost Battalion, specialized in infiltration operations. His teams would spend weeks learning Zirathi customs, languages, and behaviors. They would slip into Zirathi facilities wearing perfect disguises, plant their devices, and vanish. The Zirathi began to suspect each other, paranoia spreading through their ranks like a virus. During one operation, Marcus found himself in a Zirathi command center, downloading intelligence while disguised as a maintenance worker. He overheard 2 officers discussing the war. "Perhaps we miscalculated," one said. "These humans do not fight like prey species. They fight like cornered predators." "No," the other replied, though his voice carried doubt. "They are still just one small species." The Empire will crush them. Marcus smiled grimly beneath his disguise. Let them think that. Let them cling to their assumptions while humanity systematically dismantled everything they had built. The intelligence he stole that day revealed the location of 12 more military installations. Within a month, all 12 suffered catastrophic failures. Asterisk, when prey becomes predator, the war entered its second phase when humanity revealed they had been holding back. The attacks so far, devastating as they seemed, were merely probes, tests of Zirathi defenses and resolve. The real offensive began on the anniversary of Haven Colony. Across 17 systems, synchronized to the microsecond, human forces struck. But these were not the shadow strikes of before. These were statements, declarations written in fire across the void. The Zirathi mining operation on Thesos, which employed 30,000, found its entire workforce evacuated in the night, then watched as the planet's surface was glassed from orbit. A message left behind: we could have killed them all. We chose not to. You had the same choice at Haven. Remember that. Admiral Zhao coordinated the assault from humanity's new mobile command station, a massive vessel hidden in the cosmic background radiation of deep space. Phase 2 is about teaching them fear, she told her commanders. Not just fear of death, but fear of what humanity is capable of when pushed too far. The Zirathi supply lines, the arteries of their empire, became hunting grounds. Human raiders didn't just destroy supply ships. They captured them, stripped them of everything useful, and sent them back empty with recordings of human children singing. The psychological impact was devastating. Zirathi crews began refusing supply run assignments. Some deserted entirely. The siege of Korath Prime showed the galaxy what humanity had become. Korath was a Zirathi industrial world, producing weapons and ships for half their fleet. Human forces didn't invade. Instead, they surrounded the planet with a minefield of unprecedented scale. Millions of devices that made leaving or entering impossible. Then they waited. The planet had food for 3 months, water for 6. But without trade, without supplies, the industrial world began to eat itself. The Zirathi fleet tried to break the siege, losing dozens of ships to mines that seemed to appear from nowhere. Human broadcasts offered safe passage to any civilian ship that carried a simple cargo, a memorial plaque for the children of Haven Colony. Pride kept the Zirathi from accepting for 2 months. By the 3rd month, civilian ships began launching, each carrying the requested memorial. Humanity kept its word, allowing them safe passage. But the humiliation burned through the Zirathi. Empire. They, who had conquered 40 systems, were being forced to memorialize human children as the price of their own survival. Ambassador Thrain of the Zirathi Empire requested a meeting with human leadership. The location was neutral ground, a space station belonging to the Altarian Council. Thrain, dressed in elaborate ceremonial armor, faced Admiral Zhao across a simple metal table. The contrast was intentional. Humanity had no need for pageantry anymore. This barbarism must end, Thrain began, his forearms spread in what his species considered a peaceful gesture. You have made your point. We acknowledge the error of attacking your colony. The Empire is prepared to offer reparations. Zhao leaned forward, her eyes cold as the void. Reparations? You killed 300 children. You thought we were weak, that we would bow. Now you offer credits and resources as if that could resurrect the dead? What do you want? Thrain asked, though fear tinged his voice. We want the galaxy to understand that humanity is not prey. We want every species to know that attacking human civilians, especially children, carries a price that no empire can afford to pay. We want your complete and unconditional surrender. Thrain's scales shifted, a sign of extreme agitation. They. Empire will never surrender to a single species. We have ruled for millennia. Then you will fall, Zhao replied simply. We have shown restraint so far. We have targeted military and industrial sites. We have allowed civilians to evacuate. But our patience is not infinite. Continue this war, and we will show you what total war really means. The meeting ended without agreement. Thrain returned to his empire with warnings of human insanity, their refusal to see a reason. But privately, he began preparing evacuation plans for his own family. He had looked into Admiral Zhao's eyes and seen something that terrified him: absolute conviction. The turning point came at Nexus Prime, Azerithi's primary shipyard. It was their most heavily defended installation, protected by a fleet of 500 vessels and orbital defense platforms that could shred any attacking force. The Azerithi Imperial Command stationed themselves there, confident in its impregnability. Humanity's assault was unlike anything the galaxy had witnessed. First came the virus, a quantum computer attack that had been planted months earlier by infiltrators. It didn't destroy systems. It made them hallucinate. Sensor ghosts appeared. Everywhere, thousands of fake human ships that drew fire and attention. While the Azerithi fought shadows, the real attack came from within. 50 human volunteers had spent 6 months surgically altered to appear Azerithi, learning their every mannerism, their every custom. They had infiltrated Nexus Prime as workers, soldiers, even officers. When the signal came, they acted simultaneously. Reactor cores overloaded. Weapon systems turned on their own ships. Docking clamps released, sending vessels crashing into each other. The station's artificial gravity reversed, then increased tenfold, then disappeared entirely. In the chaos, a single human destroyer, the U's Vengeance, made a hyperspace jump directly into the station's superstructure. The destroyer had been modified into a giant bomb, its entire cargo bay filled with antimatter. The explosion tore Nexus Prime in half, sending debris cascading through the defending fleet. The Azerithi, Imperial Command, the military leadership of their entire empire, died in an instant. But humanity wasn't finished. As Azerithi forces scrambled to respond, 100 Shadow Fleet vessels appeared from hyperspace. They had been waiting, engines cold, for this moment. The battle was not a battle. It was an execution. The Azerithi fleet, leaderless and confused, was systematically destroyed. The images spread across the galaxy within hours. The mighty Azerithi Empire, conquerors of 40 systems, had lost their primary shipyard and fleet in a single day. But more than ships and stations had been destroyed. The myth of Azerithi invincibility was shattered forever. The march toward the Azerithi homeworld began immediately. Human forces didn't rush. They advanced methodically, taking system after system. Each conquered world received the same treatment: military assets destroyed, civilian populations given. A choice: they could evacuate to the Azerithi homeworld or swear allegiance to humanity. Many chose the latter, having seen what happened to those who resisted. The psychological campaign intensified. Human hackers ensured that every Azerithi citizen saw the advance, saw their empire crumbling, saw their military helpless to stop it. But they also saw something else: human forces treating surrendering civilians with dignity, providing food and medical care, rebuilding infrastructure. The message was clear. Humanity could be merciful to those who yielded, merciless to those who didn't. When human forces finally reached the Azerithi homeworld, the empire that had terrorized the galaxy, for millennia, controlled only a single system. Their fleet was gone, their armies scattered, their subject species liberated. The planet itself was protected only by orbital defense platforms, relics of a power that no longer existed. Admiral Zhao broadcast a single message to the planet. Below, you have 24 hours to surrender unconditionally. This is not a negotiation. This is a statement of fact. In 24 hours, you either join the galactic community as equals under human protection, or you cease to exist as a civilization. The choice, unlike the one you gave our children, is yours. The Zirathi response came in 12 hours. Complete. Unconditional surrender. Their leader, a young female who had assumed power after the Imperial Command's destruction, appeared on every screen in the galaxy. "We were wrong," she said, her voice carrying the weight of her species' defeat. "We believed might made right, that the strong should dominate the weak. Humanity has shown us the error of our philosophy. They possess the strength to annihilate us, yet they offer mercy. We accept their terms. The war was over, but its impact had just begun. The galaxy had witnessed something unprecedented. A young species, attacked without provocation, had systematically dismantled an empire that had stood for millennia. They had done it not through superior technology or numbers, but through determination, creativity, and an absolute refusal to accept victimization. The Altarian Council, the Vegan Trade Federation, the Centauri Republic, all rushed to establish better relations with humanity. The same powers that had dismissed the Haven colony bombing as unfortunate but inevitable now competed to sign defense treaties with Earth. They had learned the lesson humanity intended. Human children were not acceptable targets. Marcus Chun stood once again at Haven Colony, but this time not at a crater. The memorial stood 30 meters tall, black marble inscribed with 312 names. Around it, construction crews worked on the new orphanage, built with resources from across human space, and ironically, reparations from the former Zirathi Empire. Sarah Mitchell, who had died in the bombing, would have a new successor. The orphanage would house not just human children, but also Zirathi orphans, casualties of the war their empire had started. It was Admiral Zhao's idea, a final statement about humanity's character. "We will raise their children alongside ours," she had said. "We will teach them that strength without compassion is not strength at all." The galaxy had learned a fundamental truth about humanity. When threatened, humans didn't just fight back. They transformed. They became whatever was necessary to protect their own. They could be merchants, diplomats, explorers. But touch their children threatened their innocent, and they became something else entirely. The most dangerous species in known space. The memorial at Haven Colony bore a simple inscription below the names of the dead. They were children, they were ours. They are remembered, they are avenged. Let all who see this know, humanity protects its own. The Zirathi Empire fell not because humanity was stronger, but because humanity was willing to pay any price, bear any burden, break any rule to protect what they loved. The galaxy would never make the mistake of underestimating them again. Years later, when historians wrote about the war, they would note the irony. The Zirathi had bombed an orphanage to break humanity's spirit. Instead, they had forged it into something unbreakable. They had wanted to prove humans were weak. Instead, they proved that humanity's love for its children was the most powerful force in the universe. The war ended not with celebration, but with quiet determination. Humanity returned to building, exploring, and growing. But every species in the galaxy knew the truth now. Humans preferred peace, sought cooperation, and extended friendship freely, but threatened their children. They're innocent, they're defenseless, and you would face not a species, but a force of nature. The orphanage at Haven Colony was rebuilt within a year. Children's laughter once again echoed across the courtyard. But now, alongside the human children, young Zirathi played, learning together that strength meant protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. The memorial stood as a reminder, not of hatred, but of the price of cruelty and the power of human resolve. Galaxy had wanted to know what humanity was made of. In the ashes of Haven Colony, they found their answer. Asterisk.